We now head over to the fixed income and forex markets as investors are taking position ahead of next week's 360 billion naira bond auction as cautious trading remains the prevailing market sentiment. Well, Kenneth Onuoha, team member, Assets and Liabilities at UBA, joins me now for more market updates. Kenneth, thank you so much for joining us on today's show. We've had quite the activities play out from the midweek T-bills auction, 310 billion naira, and now investors are looking towards next Monday's bond auction, the size 360 billion naira. Let's talk about what has played out in the last few hours.
Okay, thank you, David, for having me on. The week, like you rightly pointed out, was one that had the T-bills auction the NTB auction on Wednesday. Yeah, that auction was particularly we saw very aggressive bids playing out in that space, particularly because we're currently in a rising interest rate environment, and people are trying to take advantage of the opportunities that avail themselves. Now, as the offer for the NTB was about 310, and then we noticed that the subscription was oversubscribed. Actually, we saw subscriptions at well over 800 billion, and the allotments were about over 475 billion. So yeah, clearly it tells you the interest where people are trying to play in the T-bill space. So yes, that naturally transcended into bullish sentiments on the NTB and the T-bills secondary market within the past few. Well, yesterday primarily. Today we've seen very cautious trading because people are of course waiting to see what happens at the bond auction. Like you rightly pointed out, there's 660 billion bond auction on Monday. What we expect is that naturally, that 360 billion is spread across 4 maturities: the 2029s, the 2023s, the 2033s, the 2038 and 2053 paper. What we expect to see primarily in that day is we would see rates to go up, of course, in line with what we have seen in the last OMO auction and the NTB auction.
And for you, the perspective around liquidity and looking at interbank rates?
Oh yes, interbank rates have shown slight improvements. The OBB and the overnight rates increased by 38 basis points and 20 basis points to close about 17% and 16% levels because of the oversubscribed NTB auction settlement. 497 billion was actually taken out of the system due to the settlement of the NTB auction on yesterday, so that naturally would put a strain on the liquidity situation. We also had CRR debits as well sometime during the week. Yeah. So yes, all of this would naturally cause rates to continually hover around that region in the coming days.
And talking about how things hover around in the coming days now, there are those who are optimistic that in the FX market, especially for the Nathan rate, to see the Naira regain some lost ground. Are you also optimistic about this?
Oh yes, we are optimistic. What we did notice during the course of the week was the Naira did depreciate from 809 levels at the beginning of the week to about 996.75 to levels as at close of business yesterday. However, we were greeted with news between yesterday and today that the CBN has continued to deliver on its promise to clear FX backlog. So this time the figures were well represented during the intervention. So we expect to see that this would naturally translate into the Naira strengthening in the coming days.
Well, Kenneth, thank you so much for speaking with us. Hopefully we'll have more reactions as we have the conduct of next week's bond auction unfold later on Monday. Well, that was Kenneth Onuoha, team member, Assets and Liabilities at UBA.